We're bringing out the Neil deGrasse Tyson clip in this video, which is time to release a scientific report with data proving that Kaspa will not only encroach inside the top 10 market cap this year, but it's strategically, specifically targeting Solana and Tron as well as Ethereum. Fast forward to the 2030 bull run, Solana and Tron will already be old news for Kaspa to mount in the market cap rankings. Now Kaspa will start directly eating into Ethereum's market cap. We're going to get into all the data points on how this happens. Before we drop this scientific report, we got to show this clip from Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about actor Terrence Howard.
In my field, we call that a peer review. You come up with an idea, you present it either at a conference or you first write it up and you send it to your colleagues. It is their duty to alert you of things about your ideas that are either misguided or wrong, or there's the calculation that doesn't work out, or the logic doesn't comport. That's their job. Not all ideas will turn out to be correct. Most won't be. But to get to that point, you need to know things like, what has everyone else said about this same subject? Am I repeating someone else's work? Is this a new insight that no one else has had, but has foundations that are authentic or legitimate or objectively true? Am I making a false assumption? Am I making an assumption that someone else has already shown to be false? All of this goes on the frontier of science. Let me make it clear that I'm delighted when I see people with active minds trying to tackle the great unknowns in the universe. It's a beautiful thing that people want to participate on this frontier. What can happen is, if you're a fan of a subject, let's say, a hobbyist, let's call it, it's possible to know enough about that subject to think you're right, but not enough about that subject to know that you're wrong. And so there's this sort of valley in there, a valley of false confidence. This has been studied by others, and it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's the phenomenon where a little bit of knowledge, you over-assess how much of that subject you actually know. And then when you learn even more, you realize, no, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So then there's a sort of a lull there. And then when you learn even more, you come back up. Ultimately, learning enough to know whether you were right or wrong. To become an expert means you spend all this time. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just sit in an armchair and say, I'm now an expert. It requires years and years of study.
Take a look at this flashback from 20 days ago. We're using technical analysis, a system known as origin trend lines. We're able to accurately, to a science, find where Kaspa's price is going to be on June 12th during the FOMC meeting. Once Kaspa breaks away from this x-axis channel, it has clear runway to about 15 and some change. There, it will reach the y-axis, red and blue zone, and it can be held there at 15.5 until June 15th, or break even higher to 17 and some change. So we're looking at a range of 15.5 to 17.5 as we're entering Powell's FOMC. This Dunning-Kruger effect is rampant across social media, specifically inside the Kaspa community. I did a very polite peer review on Hello Labs, Lit Labs, PlayZap, GFowl, and the entire community told me that they were on top of the peak of Mount Stupid, and that I had no idea what they were talking about. They just watched a live stream with two extremely confident young men who made a lot of money in 2020 bull market, and that's where things start getting really confusing, because the prior bull market and this one, they are two birds of a complete different feather. And the fact that these veterans from the last cycle who might have a couple of bucks to show are literally getting rugged on not holdings that they had 1 or 2% in. They had 25% in Hello Labs. And then they doubled down after that rug pull and they went right for Lit Labs. And it keeps going and going and going. Kaspa's path to the top 10 market cap ranking this 2025 bull cycle is very clear. First thing we have to do is a peer review on a lot of very common misconceptions that are clouding up everyone's understanding. The first being, when a tier 1 listing happens, let's say Binance, the entity of Binance themselves will not be purchasing a giant bag of Kaspa. Binance, the entity, will merely be leasing the rights to provide liquidity for Kaspa to a market maker, who will then in turn increase their Kaspa position. And in fact, right now already has lesser bags on the other exchanges making profit as we speak. So the equation that these market makers are looking at, who already have huge bags of Kaspa, they're providing it on the exchanges right now. They're not necessarily looking for such a cheap price. They're looking for their profit margin to go up to then downsize their risk. Then at this later calendar date, they'll press buy and put it on a tier 1 exchange. And this is so important to understand, because half of a market maker's position is in stable coins. So this TRC20 inscriptions are so important, and it runs parallel with the added liquidity that the financial monetary policy takes place. You hear about the Fed rate, how cheap and easy it is to get their hands on money. This goes directly into market maker type of entities. You make the Fed fund interest rate low again, you start cutting the rate. Now they can buy more Kaspa and stable coins under the Kaspa KRC20 network for less of a fee, and it has a much higher probability of starting to rocket. The Kaspa team knows this. These guys are very weathered and experienced traders. That's why they're running the KRC inscription now in June, right around this very pivotal quarterly FOMC report. These KRC20 inscriptions are just the opening act. The main event for the 2025 Kaspa bull market is smart contracts. And this is where Kaspa goes directly after Solana. And there's a lot to learn from watching Solana's progression. During the last cycle, they were on late listing, and as soon as they dropped native chain smart contracts, the project absolutely took off. In the depths of this bear market 300 days ago, the Solana team added a second type of smart contracts, organizing data to be run through the Ethereum virtual machine. I'm posting a link in the description to this article, which was published late in May of this year, going over the details of Kaspa's smart contracts. They have two paths identical to Solana's. They do Kaspa native smart contracts, and they have the option to hook Kaspa up to the Ethereum virtual machine. Once Kaspa has its native smart contract, this gives it a massive advantage over the Tron stablecoin, because Tron and Tether can't even be facilitated in a smart contracts, as well as Jonathan Saplinsky. If there was any coder in the world that could get both Kaspa native smart contracts and Kaspa through the Ethereum virtual machine, just like Solana did, that's why it's the hottest altcoin of the year. Solana, they're doing it through Ethereum virtual machine, and they have native. Meanwhile, Solana's a proof of stake, and it's been crashing all the time. Kaspa, solving their trilemma, is far more decentralized, far more secure, not only for the developers building DeFi applications. Think about the market makers who own the biggest bags of altcoins. Half of their entire portfolio is in stable coins. Running on Ethereum, super expensive, costs them money. Or Tron, a dinosaur crypto that they're using just because it's fast and cheap. The clear answer is Kaspa. And as the ubiquity of Kaspa begins to grow right now, especially in the Americas, it's not well known. Over in Europe, they're putting it on financial TV. And once we start getting these tier 1 listings locked into place, everybody's going to start to be saying the word Kaspa, and its popularity will begin to rise not just community-based anymore, because the market makers, the puppet masters behind the scenes at CNBC want it to happen because they prefer to own stable coins in the Kaspa network. Wouldn't anybody? It's the logical choice. Thanks for checking out this video. For everybody who wants to learn how we knew Hello Labs, Lit Labs, GFAL, PlayZap, we're all going to be rug pulls, you got to get your hands on the 24-point checklist. This is a system I've been using for years. Without this written system in my hand, you can't do it in your head. There's too many details to about a crypto project that you need to check for. And all of a sudden, some detail that you would easily overlook or think nonchalantly of, you suddenly find a glaring, monstrous red flag. Whoa, or you can also find giant pots of gold like we've done with Kaspa over and over again. You know, 400 days ago, there was almost nobody on social media talking well about Kaspa. It was Crypto Galaxy, Crypto John, Kaspa Silver, and myself holding the line. Everybody else were saying, it's gone up too much already. Price is way too high. It's going to fall below a penny again. Meanwhile, we were the only channel that knew to go all in on Kaspa at a low price. Meanwhile, other people were nibbling away, creating a portfolio in it. But we knew it was easily the best project that we ever seen with confidence because we have a system that helps us evaluate. The closer that we get to the 2025 peak, the more urgent technical analysis is. You guys remember that flashback that we uploaded where we accurately, to a science, almost uncanny, like it was a magic trick, predicted the exact price Kaspa would be at a very specific fundamental analysis date during June 12th FOMC meeting. It would be in between 17 and 15 and a half cents, exactly where it was, right at 17 cents. And just recently, it had bounced down to 15 and a half, just 72 hours before the meeting. We do this time and time again using a detailed technical analysis method that we have an entire library of. Not from charts from 4 years ago, like you'll get in any book you wanted to study about, but charts that you've actually been looking at over the past 6 months. That's what our entire library is built about. Classic pattern shapes and the use of these X and Y axis origin trend lines. Extremely helpful stuff. Of course, I'm in 2 winning leverage trades right now with 7x leverage that we got during this breakout. And should the KRC20 thing really pop this off, like a lot of people are thinking is about to happen, those leverage trades are going to pay out handsomely, beating even buying like Turbo at the bottom. I mean, these things are going to pay me in full, literally beating buying Turbo at the bottom of this recent breakout. The reason why all these content creators, the exact same fools that were doing group meetups saying that Hello and Lit Labs were the best picks of the year, we were trying to warn everybody. That didn't blow over. Right now, these guys are like, yeah, meme coins, meme coins. They don't really have years of knowledge. They don't have anything that they can pass on to you. Clearly, we have something behind the scenes, something to share, something to teach inside our group, and you can get it for just wallet dust. Links are in the description. You'll be happy that you did. Tons of stuff to learn, and it's not for everybody. Some people just want to goof around with the boys, throw some money around, have a good time. They don't really have hours and hours that it takes to really learn the crypto market. But for those of you that are serious, that want to take this on professionally and treat it like a business, and you're ready to commit, I will save you so much time and help you make so much more money, as time is money, just with the 24-point checklist and the giant library of technical analysis, let alone all the callouts that we've been doing on leverage trade, which are really to help facilitate the learning process. So you can see these different skills from the library as they're happening in real time and be like, oh yeah. And you know, the brain synapses will click, and that's called learning, which is why we're on YouTube in the first place. Thanks for checking out this video. We'll catch you on the next one.